Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are live with the man, the myth, the legend, Anric Blatt. How are you, sir?
I am good. I'm good. Thank you. All is well in the land.
The unscripted, unfiltered, unhinged man, myth, legend, Anric Blatt. Great to have you again. We had a lovely conversation back in November, I believe. So this has been well overdue to have a follow-up. This time is going to be less controversial. We will be learning from you, sir, because you have some very interesting things to cover, especially how LinkedIn is paying you to go on vacation, which is definitely something that most of our viewers and listeners will be interested in. So thank you for taking the time.
Well, I think it's when people say to you, hey, Anric, you have a great face for radio. You know what I mean? And you go, yeah, that's great. And then you, on your way home, you think about it and you go, you have a great, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit like that, where I'm like figuring out that when I analyzed all my performance of LinkedIn throughout the year, and I mean, as you know, for anyone who follows me, I throw a whole bunch of shit against the wall and I test it and I see, does this work? Does that work? Does that work? And so I'm testing all the time, all sorts of interesting stuff. And I realized that, hey, hang on a second. Every time I'm on vacation here, my LinkedIn metrics go through the roof. So I just, I've been a new user of this Shield app to analyze my performance. And it's actually a very interesting tool, even though it has skipped 3 or 4 mega viral posts that I had that had 3.5 million views. And so I took it up with Shield and they said, oh no, it's not us, it's LinkedIn. Because sometimes, you have 1 or 2 really outstanding viral posts and they skew all of your metrics. They skew all of your numbers. Yeah. They lull you into a false sense of security. And as I was literally explaining to somebody 10 minutes ago, if people are scrolling and you have registered 12,000 views on your post, it doesn't mean that 12,000 people actually read your post.
Of course not.
I mean, it's just a scroll past your post. So I don't actually like these kind of metrics, because at the end of the day, I don't have one here. It all depends if you're here on LinkedIn to create business. What ends up in your wallet is the important thing, like that Capital One advert, what's in your wallet. Yeah, I mean, so I just got into it basically saying, okay, let me go check at my performance and go find the patterns. So do you want to do that now?
Yeah, let's go for it. I mean, we do have to mention, of course, views don't translate one-on-one. We had several people mention that it does not translate one-on-one into revenue, of course. But if you have your business set up correctly, which Anric of you obviously have, then simply more views puts more fuel to the fire, right? So, and unless there is a weird post that does not speak at all about your topics or is just completely off whack, which is not the case in your case, it's a good proxy. It's a good proxy for how much money you will make, either now or later. So we want to quell all these kind of doubters and professional skeptics who say, well, those are vanity metrics. Yes, they are, but very often, all things being equal, these kind of vanity metrics very often do translate into revenue if you have your business set up properly. So that's just
I mean, I'll get to it in the end. I found some really, really interesting takeaways here. Let me share my screen with you real quick.
Absolutely.
And just bring this up and you let me know if you can see that okay.
Yes, indeed.
So I'm normally the unscripted guy. So I actually stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning creating this show and tell for you guys. So this, if you can see the numbers, ignore the engagement rate at the bottom, because that is just exactly happens to be on that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Shield app doesn't do that very nicely, but this is a good month for me. January is normally a good month, because if you're in the coaching, training, self-improvement business, which I am, generally in December, January, people want to get their shit together and start a new venture or learn how to raise capital or learn how to crush it on LinkedIn or whatever that is. So January tends to be a good month. Then in February, you go, okay, obviously I was off the ball here. So interesting, the patterns in my life here, and I'm going to try and keep those running. So in February, I decided that I'm going to sell my house in Colorado. And if you've ever sold a house that you've lived in for 15 years, you know that that's an insane amount of work, especially if you want to leave the new people with a perfect house. So you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of deals. You're running around, the agents constantly kicking you out of your house saying, oh, I'm bringing a client, all that stuff. So essentially my engagement on LinkedIn in those months was very, very limited. So then I looked at it in March and I made a major revelation, because I realized that I am actually serving 3 customers on LinkedIn. Number 1 are my contacts. Number 2 are their contacts. So that would be my second connections. And number 3 is the LinkedIn algorithm, the LinkedIn Wookie. Because I can be really good at category 1 and 2, but if I don't do what's right for the LinkedIn Wookies, I call them, it doesn't matter. You've got to play by the rules of the algorithm, otherwise you are swimming upstream. And I really figured it out in March. I'm like, holy shit, I've been doing this wrong, that wrong, that wrong, that wrong.
Like what?
Well, that's all inside the Crushing It on LinkedIn course. You think I'm going to give it to you for free? No. I always joke about this stuff. Let's get to it at the end, Michal. Don't let me forget, okay?
Yep.
Then with that knowledge, in April, I started experimenting with creating posts in advance, using the right hashtags, no longer tagging people blatantly, and really started experimenting with it. And you can see it. And then I also sold my house, and I was going to be out of pocket for 2 weeks. So I had to schedule my content in advance, because I was moving across the country, moving trucks, all this kind of stuff, and basically homeless for 2 weeks as I was trying to do this move with dogs and everything like that. So it wasn't perfect. Then in May, at the end of May, we went on vacation, where I got the first time the opportunity to really play out the strategy. And that was a very, very interesting experiment, and it was slightly less than 2 posts a day. I scheduled 1 post early in the mornings when my audience is at their desk, and I left myself room to do another impromptu post in the middle of the day. But here it really, really started working. Now you can see this thing catching momentum. Then in June, I did it again when we came up to the new house here in South Carolina. And then July and August for me are always relatively quiet months, because I'm not really there and neither is my audience. Like in August, I actually it was all just very amateur. September, nice ramp up again. October, total experimentational month again. November, and then in December, I said, I actually did it formally on LinkedIn. I said, bye people, you will not see me for 2 weeks. Oh,
for the on-screen debut.
Hang on 1 second. I got to stop the screen share quickly here. And 1 second. Stop. Here we go. You want to meet the little puppy?
Hello there, Galileo. What's his second name? Fratellino?
Fratellino.
No, I'm still calling him Thunderbolt. Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening.
Me.
Romeo's here too.
Oh,
very nice.
He wants to be in on it too. He's like, yeah, I'm the LinkedIn star. But isn't he sweet? He's such a sweet little boy.
Oh, it's definitely, he's the LinkedIn star now. He's stealing the show from the other 2.
He's very cute. Anyway, he's going to the vet right now.
Yeah.
Sweet boy.
His debut.
What's he getting? Some vaxes?
Just his puppy checkup. I don't know if he's getting a checkup.
So when people,
he's going with his litter mates.
When people, I had this whole entry planned, or I was going to play you the Lion King song and present him to the people, but let's not be dramatic. He's so sweet.
Should be Bohemian Rhapsody in his case.
Yeah, totally.
Excellent. How old is he? How old is Galileo now?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Oh, wow. So young. Jesus.
He's so cute.
He likes to be held. If I put him down, he cries.
Naturally.
Oh, he's cute.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good luck. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Ciao. See you.
Bye. right, come on, guys.
All right, now back to the screen share.
By the way, do you see, Anric? This is really interesting. So we do have viewers. It says on the top, it says 0 viewers, live 0 viewers, but it's not true at all. This is somehow StreamYard has got that wrong. We just got a comment from Kevin. Hi, Kevin. Where it's, wait, I'm going to add that to the stream. So it's strange because StreamYard does not capture the live viewers well. So we do have viewers. It's just that they don't show up.
It's cool. I'm happy to just talk to you and Belsi. That will be fine.
We have definitely more.
Oh, and I didn't send the link to Josh Curtis. Josh was going to join us, wasn't he?
Oh wait, but we can do that still.
Yeah, send him the link. I forgot. I forget half the stuff I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Let me just quickly send it to him.
Because he's the perfect, I did a workshop on this, I don't even know when that was, a couple of weeks ago, with 25 people on it. Not a fake scarcity type of thing, which I absolutely hate. But I just said, I want to have 25 people in the workshop. Let's do it. So on Kajabi, you can set the limit on the number of signups. And it was such a really, really nice workshop, because I showed people how to schedule all this stuff in advance and get your time back. Because Michael, I noticed that with Laura Louise, like we're on our way out and she'll go, I got to do my LinkedIn post. And I'm like, oh, great. And I know it's going to be like an hour and a half. So her content is really, really good and engaging, but she takes so long to create these posts. So while she was doing her one post, I literally did all of my stuff that for the next 2 weeks in advance. And she's like, how did you do that? I'm like that. So I did a workshop on that, and that was really cool. We had 25 people on it. And so right before Christmas, I announced my resignation from LinkedIn, and I said, I will be gone, people. Everything is now scheduled in advance. I was beta testing for 6 months the new Hootsuite video function, and we were under a confidentiality agreement to not let the cat out of the bag. But Hootsuite does video really well. And so I scheduled everything from the 21st, 22nd, 23rd onwards, and you can literally see how this is taking off.
Oh, interesting. So is that because, well, you normally do video as well, right? You do plenty of video.
Yeah, but the videos normally, when you're pre-scheduling them, they show up as like external links, and they don't show up nicely at all. I mean, hey Josh, nice that you're here. Sorry, I forgot to send you the invite. But okay, so now if you look at December, I mean the whole year, right? You can see very clearly where I started having these effects in the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Lola, can you close the door, please? Lola, Louise. And it was very interesting. On average, it works out to 2 posts a day.
Yes.
And then I've hidden one of the columns, but I really went in and I did an export from Stripe, who's my payment processor. So this does not include all of the payments, because there are some people that don't want to put massive amounts of money on their credit card. I mean,
yeah, sure, of course.
And we never know who's watching, but this looks like Spaghetti Junction right now. But follow me through it from left to right. Don't jump ahead, and don't try and, I don't know if Evan's on the line is going to try and trip me up here. But of course. I basically took the views here, January, February, March, 217. Can you see my mouse moving? Yeah, you can, right?
Yes. That's good.
So I literally plugged in all the views. Then I look at the views per post.
Average.
In there. Then the amount of comments for that month in the third column.
Yep.
The views per comment, which is an interesting statistic, by the way. Views per comment. I'll come back to that. Then I plugged in the amount of likes that I got. Then the views per like. Then the number of posts and the number of likes per post. So I have an internal crushing it index where I have a formula in here that shows me how well I'm doing. because to me, it's not about views at all. Remember where I came from, right? When I first built my LinkedIn profile, I maxed out at 30,000 connections.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid. By that, I thought I had 34,000. And then I realized that followers and connections were two very different things. I know we can laugh about it now, but I really didn't actually realize that. And then I'm like, I don't know any of these people. What's the point of doing this? This does not help my business. I am not in a consumer product that I can, benefit from having 1 million followers on.
Yep.
I want to have 5,000 people that all know each other because of me. And they're all connected to each other. Everybody either owes me a favor or I owe them a favor. They can either buy something from me or I can buy something from them, or somebody like Josh, who is on one of my treasured connections. I can find a way to promote what he does for a living to my network. Make sense?
Yep.
And you can do that with 1,000 people. You can even do that extremely well with 500 people, but 5,000 to me was a really nice mix. So I'm constantly trying to get back there. So I have an index that measures all of that. And then in the last column, I took all of the earnings for those months. I basically just did an export from Stripe and indexed them out of 100.
Yep.
Okay. And you will see that January is always a good month, followed by a little vacation time here. But see here where the crushing it index is, right? The top 3 months result in some of the best sales. And there is always a lag in it, because remember, my policy is, and we can address this in a further call, I don't do any outgoing reach to people at all. Everything for me is incoming. Right. So there is always a time lag. I don't even accept Zoom calls from people that I don't know. And every now and then somebody will jump the queue, and I regret it every time because I haven't gotten to know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, if I was, let me try something else. If I was jumping on a call with you, I would go, so you recognize this, don't you?
No, I do, yeah.
And then we would talk about that. And then I would go, okay, let's become pirates. I want to talk about being a pirate, because I totally resonate with this article that you wrote in Forbes magazine.
Well done. You've done a research.
About breaking things, but it's not fake research. I am genuinely interested. And this is, I think, the lesson for Josh. I am genuinely interested in you because I've gotten to know you. So I'm going to stalk the living daylights out of you and find out the things where you and I overlap and thread. Make sense?
Sure. I have questions keep coming up. I'm going to let you kind of finish what you have, and then we'll ask questions if that's okay. Okay.
There's no script to it, but that's basically the line of, hang on, let me just close this here so you can see all my boat pictures. I'm currently boat shopping and dog shopping. So, coming back to this crushing it index. So I do measure my own performance on LinkedIn and how it actually spills over into sales. Now, remember, these are not little numbers, Michael? This is not some little number. My program varies from 8,000 being the minimum to almost 500,000 the high level. You know what I mean? Yes, there is a tripwire or a loss leader, something that I basically give away for free, which is my crushing it course. But that doesn't even move the decimal points here. The interesting bit that I discovered in October, by the way, this was a great sales lesson. I had a terrific month in October because I decided to do one thing and one thing only. Follow up to every DM that was in my inbox that was unanswered. It's like, sorry, a little embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was from not yet customers. That was from prospects.
No, just people I haven't replied to.
Yeah,
and that said, hey, how can I get involved? How can I do this? How can I do that? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was a really, really interesting thing. And basically, out of the whole experiment, and I think this is where it comes down to the nuts and bolts, what did I actually learn out of it? The pre-scheduling absolutely pays off for me. And I'll explain in a second how I did it. Then the realization that I am pitching to 3 different audiences. Number 1, my contacts. Number 2, because I look at you, Michael, and I almost feel like this is a little scary, because basically everybody that I'm talking to, that I want to talk to, people that I really like, they somehow have connected with you, or you have connected with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the beauty of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Some people take that shit way too far and they stalk you and they creep you out. It's like bunny boiler. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, that's how it's supposed to be, because based on the interactions, for example, between you and me, Michael, some people will go, hey, that guy Michael can really help me. Or that guy Anric, hey, he can really help me. You see what I mean? And when I get to that point where personal comment time is vital, people screw this up completely. And that is why my pre-scheduling works, is I've pre-scheduled everything. It's all done. It's all programmed. It's all in the books. It's coming out at 7:05 a.m. and then another one at 1:22 or whatever. And I purposefully keep those a little randomized, even though they are patterned. Now I've got time and freedom and creative goodwill, right? The appetite to actually make my comments absolutely authentic. So even when I'm on vacation, I schedule a quick, I do this right after breakfast when I'm out in Mexico, or I'm out on the boat or whatever. And then I do another session for half an hour in the afternoon at 4:30. Why 4:30? Well, because that's the close of everything. It's the opening of Sydney, where I have a lot of clients in Australia. And I know that 5 o'clock is drinks time, so therefore I'm going to be very concise and very short. I'm not going to get sucked into the meme wars. I'm just going to go and write something authentic. See what I mean? So that personal comment time is critical. Without it, LinkedIn does not work. Okay. So if you are just posting shit all day and you are not engaging in the conversations, and you are not starting conversations or taking people's bait who are starting conversations. Does that make sense to you, Josh? Sorry, you're on mute, but
sorry, I can unmute you. Sorry, it was a bit loud in the background. Go for it, Josh.
The point I'm trying to make, Josh, is that if you want people to talk to you, you got to talk to them. And if there are people who are starting conversations, go and I don't mean like I call them the LinkedIn whores, you know what I mean? Who don't really do anything of value. They just spew crap. Real conversations with real people. By starting those conversations, those people will swing over to your content, but more importantly, the LinkedIn algorithm will recognize you. And after some time, I don't know if it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you start getting the feedback. You will start getting people coming to talk, basically continue the conversations that you've started on LinkedIn with your content. So it's a dual strategy is my big takeaway from this. Pre-scheduling absolutely pays off because it's out there, it's doing its magic, waiting for you to grab your coffee after dropping the kids off or doing whatever you need to do, to take 30 minutes of your time, very, very precious time, I know for you right now, okay? You have massive demands on your time. But if you can schedule 30 minutes, you can do it with a kid on your arm, like Michael and I, we started the call, he had his son on his arm, right?
Yep.
You can come in there and give it 30 minutes of love. And because you've timed yourself for 30 minutes, you will focus on the 80-20, on the parts that are important and the people that are important. Next point, variety is important. Do you remember when Andy Smith was going through his period where he was posting a video every day, right? So those videos were really good and really authentic. And as good as they were, you go, oh God, another video from Andy Smith. You see what I mean? You need to you need to throw it around a little bit. And that's why I love even using the free services of the auto schedulers. You do some graphics posts on every day of the week, and then you drop 3 or 4 videos in there as your second post or as your first post. And the other realization that I came with, there are certain times of the day where LinkedIn is completely starved for content. And if you've got good content that has followed the crushing it on LinkedIn rules about the proper hashtags, the proper tagging, the length of the post, and not committing those cardinal sins of, all the links and the sign up links and sign up here and subscribe here and all that stuff. The algorithm looks for those words and downgrades your post. You can have a relatively boring business post that might be a PDF. I got one that clicked 120,000 views on a PDF, for God's sake, only because I played by the rules. And I hit it at a time when LinkedIn was starved for content. So that's why you will see, very, very different algorithm using your desktop versus your mobile. There are 2 different algorithms that behave completely differently, but also the time of day is very, very important. So that's basically what I've learned. Let's debate it. Poke holes in it if you like, Michael.
Nah, this was great information. So thank you so much, Anric. Would you mind, though, could you show this table that you had with also your crushing it index and the revenue and so on? That would be interesting. I have a couple of questions around that. First, before we get into that, can you share, though? So you went from 35 something thousand down to 5,000. Could you quickly share with our audience? I find this quite intriguing. How did you select those? And I know you had a virtual assistant help you with that. There would be quite a bit of work to do that manually. How did you select those you got rid of?
Very easy. I deselected everybody who doesn't have a profile picture. Then I selected some countries completely, just eliminated the countries, because I know that those people never use a credit card to pay for anything. So why keep doing that? Then I did a search for anybody who has not posted in 6 months. Because those people are just not really on LinkedIn. They're not really doing anything. And admittedly, you would say, hey, that's part of your crushing it on LinkedIn target audience. But remember that was never created as a program intended for sale. It just grew into that by itself. So here's you can see the screen again. So here's the chart up. As it looks pretty random, but I've noticed it's not.
Yeah. So on that note, I see that your crushing it index, let's look at April and May, is very high in April and May, but your revenue index is low.
Always remember, I have a 2 to 3 month lag because I insist on getting to know people for 2 to 3 months. The parallel that I like to draw is I create a garden of content.
Got it.
And in that garden of content, I have a couple of key strategically placed attractions. One of them is a nice little Japanese bridge, which might be my video on finding your mojo, your ikigai. Another one might be a wonderful azalea collection over here, which might be a video on how to do something. But the rest of it is all totally authentic content. And I want people to stroll through there because, hey, if I'm going to offend you, I don't want you booking a Zoom call with me.
Yes.
See what I mean? If you're trying to sell me something, well, I don't want you using my Zoom link up and my Zoom meetings to try and do that. You see, and that you can get by having 2 to 3 months of people wandering through your garden. And then the parallel that I draw to that, Michael, is that at the end of the wandering through the garden, I will light a nice fire. And this one came from Kevin Belts for Christmas, a nice whiskey. And I will go, who wants to drink whiskey and talk shit by the fire? And 8 or 9 people will jump into that. So that's actually part of my funnel, even though it wasn't intended like that. It just, it's authentically like that. And then based on how that meeting over drinks went, where you can see that some people really don't hold their liquor well at all, and they shouldn't drink and they shouldn't reproduce. You can then go, okay, I'd like to invite these 3 or 4 people for dinner. And that's how my LinkedIn strategy worked so brilliantly, because I've got all these cool people that I actually genuinely want to hang out with. And secondly, I want to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the greatest reason to get into business.
Of course.
It's like, hey, your shit's broken. I can fix that quickly. Come here. Yeah.
Good. So the time lag that we see here, and I think it's quite interesting. Look, when you go April and May, if we look at the 2-3 months after, this is then your best revenue month, July and August, or your second and third best, right? So this is the 2 to 3 month time delay. Similarly, look at October, high crashing index, very good December.
Yeah.
Similarly, but not so strongly, you've had July, very good crashing index, decent October, right? So that's what it kind of translates into.
Yeah, I do see that time lag, mainly just because the way I'm set up. Josh's client acquisition mechanism might be very, very different to mine. Everybody's is different. I want to get to know the people that I'm getting into bed with.
Yeah,
it's not so simple for me.
Cool, good. I just want to open. I have plenty of more questions. I just want to open the forum. Evan, thank you. You asked a question. Let me get to that soon. But Josh, do you have anything that comes to mind when you see this? Any questions?
No, this is all really illuminating. This journey has been in the works. Gosh, Anric, what, maybe a year or two? I don't even know. And it all just started with realizing that LinkedIn's not an online resume. And I know I'm probably late to the party, but I feel like I'm a lot earlier than most folks. So, I mean, my strategy is not nearly as in depth. I mean, it's literally at this point just posting something daily that adds value. And I try at least 3 or 4 times a week to have that somewhat related to business. And after meeting Anric, he's like, hey, people need to know who you are if this is going to be a valid revenue generating, or at the very least relationship building machine for you. And so I try to introduce some personal things. That's the hardest part of all of this, I think, for everyone. Is getting over that hump. But those revenue metrics are interesting. I think a 2 to 3 month lag time's reasonable, but that's typically something that's normal in person. So I'm actually pretty impressed that
I'm going to give you direct feedback, Josh, why you are in my inner circle, okay? Because
it's not because I speak broken German, is it?
No, your German's actually not bad at all. But there is a way. I mean, Michael and I did it right in the beginning. You want to be threading people. It's actually a concept that comes out of Laura Louise's dictionary. She finds the golden threads in people naturally. And you, in person, if you're in a business meeting in person, you can thread people by finding those. And you don't want to make this insincere, because threading somebody in an insincere way, okay, is counterproductive. Then you're better not doing it. And I have found so many common threads between you and I. And yes, one of them is that you are one of the people that is able to banter backwards and forwards with me in German. Okay. And I enjoy it. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy's German is actually not bad at all. And what's the first real word I taught you in German?
Oberhammer Affengeil.
Oberhammer Affengeil.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And Superwort.
And Superwort.
It's an outstanding word.
My oldest son loves it. He was like, what is this? I said, it's means something. It's just, his word is ultra. He's ultra. Hey Ford, how are you doing? I'm ultra today. I said, you need to say I'm Oberhammer Affengeil.
Oberhammer Affengeil. Anyway, so that banter backwards and forwards, right? You can find almost anything Like I've only been to Michal's, I don't know if that's not your hometown, but where you went to college, and there was a fantastic Greek restaurant in that town. Probably not that you would remember. You were maybe too young, or the restaurant wasn't there. But the one and only time I've been to that little town where Michal went to college, I had one of the best Greek meals of my life. Right. So you can find a thread that connects you. Then you can find another one, and you pull on another one, and you pull on another one, and your content is deep, it's sincere, it's authentic, and it's useful. So I would rather have less content of a higher quality and truly engage with that. Then I look at other guys, in our program, Josh, who are struggling with their LinkedIn reach. And I go, it's very easy. All of this shit you're posting is basically insincere clickbait. It's just stupid stuff. It comes across as flippant. It comes across as insincere. And you're almost insulting me by saying, what do you think? Put it in the comments. I'm like,
agree.
I'm not going to give you my brilliance in the comments. You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't ask me nicely, right? So everybody has to find their groove. And I think you found your groove. The challenge is, how do you systematize it without losing its authenticity? That's the key. And I found, sit down on Saturday mornings with a cup of coffee, or on Saturday afternoons with a glass of whiskey, and just go, right, you little fuckers, you will be mine. Oh yes, you will be mine. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I want your eyeballs, but more importantly, I want your fingers on the keyboard. And if you have a genuine interest and a genuine love for the people that are engaging with you, it's going to show up real quickly. And this is the biggest and most beautiful thing about LinkedIn, because okay, here, time to own up to the bromance. I love Michal, okay? But I started off and I thought, what a jackass. Yeah, I mean? And
really?
Yeah. And in that process, we found each other. You see what I mean? And then I'm like, you know what? The guy's actually right. He called me out on my crap. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean? And over time, we've built this wonderful relationship that it does not feel like I've never met him. You see what I mean? And if we were living nearby each other, we would have probably been in business already together, because that's what we men do. Yeah, I mean, we're like, oh, you want to build a company that makes phones? Yeah, I mean, you want to build a company that makes whiskey or whatever, right? And so it is with LinkedIn, is that you can find these people that connect with you across time zones, across countries, across age groups, income groups. But if you are not being yourself authentically with enough consistency, the strategy will fail. And that's why I dragged you on here, because I know you have extreme time constraints. The very best thing you could do is to say, okay, every Saturday morning for 2 hours, I am going to schedule my stuff.
Right.
Okay. I think you've got the workshop, and you've got access to our workshop. All of the how-tos are in the Crushing It on LinkedIn workshop of how to do it. That part's easy. The part that's difficult is how to collect the content.
Yes.
And that's also in the workshop. I gave you all my ideas of how I collect content. I have enough content for the next 3 years if I want to. You know what I mean? But you want to start conversations, and I think it's Michal who I don't know if he came up with it first or me first or whatever, but it's a really good terminology. You want to start conversations that are in your wheelhouse, right? And your wheelhouse, Josh, is helping people with their what?
Taxes, paying less.
But it's more than that. It's not just about the taxes, because you're not a CPA that's doing people's taxes.
That's correct.
So go a little deeper on this one.
With their time, keeping more money. I feel like this is a test. There's an answer that I'm not getting.
No. I am visualizing your doodles, those little doodles with the pie chart, of how much tax you paid, and
That's
then the
right.
little pie chart of how much tax you could have paid, and then you missed the block, which I filled in for you, that's where you put in the visual of the
Right.
boat or the plane or the security for your children or the Tesla stock that you could have bought with that, right?
Right.
And those visual anchors are huge.
Mhm.
And if you can get to communicate that on LinkedIn every day, you don't need to do it every day.
Right.
Because remember, you've got 3 audiences: your existing contacts,
Mhm.
their contacts, which are your second and sometimes third, but mostly their second connections, and then the LinkedIn algorithm third, which brings you the third connections.
Right.
And there occasionally you have to be a bit of a prostitute, and you need to go and post something that goes viral, and it really does help you, because I do find that those kind of, I don't know, call them clickbait. Michael will hate that, but they do work, and they do lubricate the algorithm to show your stuff to other people.
Right.
Quickly on that topic, Anric. So you say 3 audiences, and it's clear. Yes, sometimes you do a viral post so that the Wookiees like you. How do you distinguish between audience 1 and 2, your connections versus your second degree connections? Do you sometimes create a post for the second degree connections, and then how does that work? What kind of post is that?
Okay, so see, I normally need a whiteboard to scribble, because as Josh will tell you, my brain doesn't work if it doesn't have a whiteboard. But if you use the right hashtags, which you don't, by the way, Michael, and number 2, you strategically tag the right people in a sincere, authentic manner, not in the just add a bunch of names to the bottom of your post and think that they're going to come, because they're not going to come. You can write a post that will show up in your contacts feed, because remember who their audience is. Their audience are people that are following this person and that are following the same hashtags, and that they have been triggered. And if these people tend to be content poor, by you creating content that looks like it comes from them, boom, it goes to their feed. And if you think of it like that, you can create a wonderful post that makes them look good. And
Perfect.
remember, everybody is tuned to that station, WIIFM, right?
Exactly.
What's in it for me? And if people, who was that strange guy that, God, trying to remember his brain now. My brain has gone soft. James Altucher, remember him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He had a wonderful, wonderful video. People like us do things like this. And if you can tune to that language where people are going, oh yeah, oh, this is what people like us do. Oh, people like us have these kind of problems. And that guy, Josh Curtis, he helps people like us. And then you're really are talking the right language. And if you, Josh, one of the strategies that we'll get into is your biggest source of clients are not going to be the clients themselves, right? And I have a number of capital raising clients whose sole clients, by the way, are billionaires. Well, sorry, dude, they're not hanging out on LinkedIn, but their people are. Their bean counters, their defense walls are. And if you write a message that's designated for the billionaire, it is not going to resonate with the bean counters. Write a message for the bean counter that adds value so that he can communicate better with the billionaire. Boom, and you've got it, right? You might have seen that strategy of mine. This is where I call it the lubricated poll, where I will create a post that stops you scrolling, that gets you writing into my DMs, where I will send you my handwritten notes about why the 6 billionaires I just met with, why they hate hedge funds. See what I mean? Yeah. It's a very, very simple note. I have thousands of handwritten notes that I can deploy in that strategy, because what it does, scroll. Oh, stop. Oh, interesting. Dig. Write, connect, talk, start a conversation, straight into the DMs. From the DMs, I'm sending you something. But hang on, I can't send you shit if you aren't a first degree connection.
That's right.
And maybe Michael and I will tackle this in next week. I don't like to make outgoing connections because I don't like rejection. I take it personal, and I will literally Liam Neeson style find you and hunt you down and break your shit if you reject me, right?
If you don't pay Anric, he will
Yeah, that's
break
right.
your kneecaps.
It's not paying. It's more like a Godfather style, you know. I have a meme on it. You got to show me some respect on that one. Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Good. So either break kneecaps or the horse head in the bed.
You see,
That's right.
you did it perfectly today, Michael, by the way. Because you played me like the sensitive Leo that I am. You did a post. Can you open up the screen on Andy Smith's post with your comment? So now you got to watch a master, well-intentioned manipulator in. I mean, this is poetry in motion, because he knows that I'm sensitive, and I hate that when people are ripping off my content and not giving credit. Okay, and I will do so much heavy lifting for free for all sorts of people. But if they don't give you credit of some kind or say thank you every now and then, you know what? I'm going to go break your shit. All right. Do you find it?
All right, let me share the screen. Here we go.
So here's a wonderful example of this.
Where do we have that? There we go. That was my comment on Andy's post. And then Andy says something like, great distinction, Michael, and loving the evolving rotation of Bohanna's heads. And of course, he's referring to my profile pictures, which Anric beautified recently. And so I mentioned, hey, Andy Smith, it's courtesy of Anric Blatt as usual.
Okay, but the way I read it, okay, is, and now here's the ego at work. So I have written extensively about finding your confidence, because I am a introvert that has learned the skills of being able to become an extrovert. So that makes me a very unique animal, and it's all about self-confidence. But self-confidence doesn't just appear out of nowhere. You've got to get it from somewhere, right? So I've got an in-depth post and training session on exactly this subject. So I think that Michael is talking about that, because the ideas that he's replying to on Andy are the exact ideas that are in my post. And then immediately I reply and I go, okay, oh, wow, that's interesting. The man's finally giving me credit for some of my thoughts here, right? And obviously, but I figured it out later. And then just open up the handwritten notes in there. Just go up. There we go. So so in there are some of these handwritten notes of mine, right? That's not playing up. That's not displaying. Oh, there we go. You know what I mean? So here are the actual handwritten notes that go in it. And then as I read it again, I'm like, oh shit, he's talking about the profile picture. You know what I mean? But I can give people content and value added and strategies and tips and hacks all day long, because I think they're going to appreciate it. When people don't appreciate it, or they don't comment, or they don't respond, or they don't say thank you, or they don't go, hey, great, that was useful, they are no longer on my A list, which means they don't get invited into the house to come and sit around the fire and talk shit. Makes sense, right? So this is a good example of Andy starting a conversation, and Michael and I basically are going to make that his best performing post. Right? So that's what I mean about talking to your contacts.
No, I think it's definitely super important to elevate others' contacts. And when you have like a genuine level of respect and appreciation for someone, which I definitely have for you, Anric, because your content is great, and very often I disagree with it, and then the interesting conversations start. But very often we also agree, and then it's great that we have this kind of the resonance. So, and I think therefore, and I'm curious about this one, leads into another question. I think it really matters. I learned this from Justin Welsh, that it's great if you have a specific time every day that you post, that you don't vary it. And you mentioned that it's randomized in your case. I do think if people knew of you that, okay, Anric posts at 7:05 and at 1:20 every day, And that's like clockwork. You have it scheduled. In Justin Welsh's case, for example, because just by commenting on one of his posts, I got a client. Just by commenting on one, like immediately somebody got in touch and we spoke and boom, became a client. That's why I will always be commenting, and I have it even scheduled that when Justin Welsh releases a post, there's few people like that I have, but because he has huge reach, like he has like 1,000 likes routinely on one post. Therefore, I will do that. I think similarly, if people, and I have it scheduled. Similarly, if you had it scheduled every day, it's always the same. I think that would be beneficial. What do you think of that?
So I actually have, and I teach just kill your screen share there for a second.
Yeah.
I have a strategy that I teach inside the Crushing It on LinkedIn course called the Shake, Rattle, and Roll. And it's very, very similar to that, in that you've got to find, especially when you're new to LinkedIn, okay, or you're new to a particular asset class or industry, go and find 10 people that really talk in that industry, that are like, if you're in hedge funds, go pick Ray Dalio and go, or if you're in crypto, find a few guys like that. Then either hit the little bell that alerts you that they have posted, or know that they are posting at 7:03 a.m. But here's the downside of it, Michael, is that LinkedIn, the quickest way that it can find out whether your post is auto-scheduled, pre-scheduled by an external service, is pick 5 of your last posts and see if they all came out at the same time. So that gets you a algorithm downgrade. And it's quite okay if you have 250,000 followers. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I like to create rules, but I hate to follow them. So that obviously leads you into a portion of my character that maybe I don't want to divulge, but I hate having to comply. And authenticity for me is absolutely everything. And if I am so programmed and so scheduled at the same time every day, well, man. It feels cheap. It's the same as giving somebody a really great post and then further down saying sign up here. It cheapens the authenticity of it, and the LinkedIn algorithm looks for words like link in the comments. 8-point downgrade on that instantly.
You know that for sure?
I do, yeah. I do.
Okay.
By the way, the quickest way, anytime you want to know any of the stuff, just call up the LinkedIn help desk. They tell you everything. Like somebody should tell those people to zip it, because they literally will tell you how the thing works. You just call them. Okay. So I like the predictability of between 7 and 7:30, but you're never going to pinpoint exactly what time it is.
Very interesting. Okay.
So I vary it a little bit. Then I have one later on in the afternoon. And when I'm on vacation, it's all pre-programmed. So I don't need to do anything except send you a cool picture from my beach chair and go, cool. Now I've got the other stuff going, which is fueling my LinkedIn machine. So my vacation picture gets double the love it normally does, because the LinkedIn algorithm says so. It's not about the personal thing. It's the algorithm that decides, oh yeah, this guy gets lots of engagement. His engagement on these kinds of posts is 17%, which is very high. So let's show this to more people.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Can we do a couple of audience questions? They've piled up.
Okay. I mean, maybe I shouldn't answer them.
Frank, very curious how you discover the right hashtags. You also mentioned that my hashtags are wrong, so maybe you can cover that in the same.
Oh, God, me and my big mouth. Okay. Let me share my screen with you. That might be the easiest way. Then you can visually see it. Okay, share. So here you can see my notes. So I keep a notes section of my my LinkedIn hashtags, and I update them from every now and then. These are a little out of date here. So I break up hashtags into 3 groups: big ass hashtags, target audience hashtag, and your private and unique single hashtag, like mine is Anric B, or crushing it on LinkedIn.
Crushing it on LinkedIn, yeah.
Right. So if you can write a sentence, I even have it here. Let me try and find it quickly. I have it here in LinkedIn signatures. If I'm creating a post, I have a sentence that I can type in and cut and paste straight with my icon. And I have digital marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, and raising capital. Way too many hashtags. But if you look at digital, let's see if we can find it, if it's in here. Digital marketing. I should have done that. 27 million followers.
Mm-hmm.
Venture capital, 19 million. Entrepreneurship, 22 million versus entrepreneur at 500,000. So this is absolutely worth putting some time and energy into it, because you've got to think about who your target audience is. And I want to give a shout out to your friend, Evan Thompson. I've been reading his book, by the way, which is quite brilliant, even though I'm not the target audience. I am unemployable. I thought I'd read it anyway, and he has some really good golden nuggets in that. And one of them is the who question. If you can identify, and I think this applies to Josh, really, really well. If you can identify who it is that you want to be in business with, you're halfway there. Add on a why you actually want to do it and why you want to help these people. The how and the when will take care of itself. So that's very, very powerful. But coming back to the hashtags, if you can figure out what hashtags not only your target audience follows, but think about this, Michael, we are talking about the algorithm here, because I can create a sentence like this one that is followed by 200 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So I paste that into the bottom of my my post. I have my personal Anric B hashtag. I have a big ass hashtag here called startups. Let's go see what its following is. 21 million people follow that hashtag. Make sense?
Sure. So it's just volume that you say. So you play a volume game.
It's volume and it's target and it's targeted. So here I've got my crushing it on LinkedIn one.
Yeah.
So I switch these up. I change them up. I try to let me just bring the StreamYard back onto the screen here. I try to mix it up a little bit and get different kinds of hashtags talking the same language. It used to be that it was a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 9, but it's much closer to the ideal mix being 4 to 5 hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
But yet some of my viral posts have 1 hashtag, so it really doesn't matter.
I think so, yeah. Okay, good. I follow the same strategy. I have one major hashtag, which is marketing. My mid-sized hashtag, which is a little bit more narrowed down, is B2B, and then my 5 a.m. club, which is my unique. So it's effectively the same.
The B2B one, I like. Is somebody who's your target, are they really following the B2B profile? I would vary that a little bit, and then as you write, don't be like, some people who just freaking create a hashtag for every single thing they want to say. That's really annoying. But if you write in the actual post.
Got it.
Experiment with those hashtags a little bit. Use 3 or 4. Go up to 5, not more than that.
Got it.
Okay.
Awesome. Good. We have a prodding question from Evan. Can we take that one? Is the intention to create this is about your table that you created, that you showed. Is the intention to create a 4 to 6 month sales cycle whereby the year is, in effect, carved up into 2 to 3 periods of relationship development to sale opportunity, or was this a byproduct?
Can you do that in English again?
I wonder if the sales cycle that you have, if it was planned in any way, or if it's just simply a byproduct of how you work.
Yeah, no, it's really just a byproduct of always winging it, always being unscripted and unedited. So, in the cycle is, if I was more organized, to answer Evan's question, if I was more organized, I could probably not tenfold, but probably fivefold my own sales numbers. But that now goes against what I love doing, which is spending one-on-one time with people who have a genuine problem that I can fix. So I like the one-on-one time. I just don't want people to take it for granted. You see the conflict there. You know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah, I mean, Evan thinks deeper about anything. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Cool. Awesome. Very good. Final question that I have from you. What is the Crushing It Index composed of? Is it like a secret formula that you have? You haven't elaborated on that.
I'm sure there are some people on LinkedIn here that could make it much better, but I basically just took the number of views and started dividing it by things that actually make sense. So I can get a feeling, not a feeling, but some kind of representation of, was this a successful month or not? And I then went back very manually and looked at those months, and I'm like, you know what? That number is actually quite right, because I had a good time on LinkedIn in those months. Why did I have a good time? Well, I met new people. We had outstanding conversations. We had fun. And there were lots of signups to my very short notice events. Like some people say, hey, can you give me 2 weeks notice? I'm like, no, it's tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, because I only thought up the idea 12 minutes ago. So yeah, if I was more organized, it would get better.
Cool. One more question that came up, and that is, so you mentioned like really having genuine relationships and researching what people did. You showed me the Schloss Lichtenberg in Saalfelden, where I grew up, and all of that. That's all great. But that you have 8,000 connections, that kind of level of relationship is virtually only possible with 2, 3, maybe 500 people at the very most, right? You cannot have that with 8,000.
I would say it's 100, actually, maybe 150. Exactly. But it's not always the same people. But the peloton or the school of fish that moves with is an interesting way to play it, because, you know, some people will take a look at it, and now you have a much more scientific way of looking at it, between the funnel and the pot and all this kind of stuff, right? But I look at it as this is my tribe. It's my tribe, my gang of people that are moving with me. Yes. And we're going together. And if I don't keep you engaged, that means either I'm boring or I'm not adding value to you. And sometimes you've got some very special people that lost the adhesion to your peloton, and you have to manually drag them back in. And I love doing that by tagging people, every now and then calling them out on their shit, or literally, if I create a post, I will send it to them via Messenger, and I'm going, you know that this thing is screaming for you to come and say something nasty. Yeah, I mean, and like that, you can keep the people back in the pod. But remember that for me, it works, and it will work very well for Josh too, because I've only built an attraction mechanism, which in itself becomes a rejection tool as well, that I reject the people that I'm just not interested in serving, but I attract as a result. I stand up and I'm being counted. It's like let's go there, Michael. Let's go there. Let's talk about religion, okay? Let's talk about politics. You cannot talk about sex on LinkedIn. I found that out the hard way. Don't do that.
Don't say the word.
Yeah, no, don't even say it. Like, don't even put a picture that looks in any way suggestive. But you can be authentic and stand up for your faith. Just don't try and, I can't pronounce this, proselytize. What's the word?
Proselytize.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I think something like that, yeah. Don't preach. Yeah. Don't preach. Papa, don't preach.
So as soon as I checked out and I did the dog park sniff test with Josh, I'm like, you know what? This guy's my kind of guy. And why? Well, his content's deep. I like what he stands for. He's not shoving his faith and his beliefs in my face, but he's not hiding. He's not embarrassed of them either. Okay? He's not trying to fit in and make everybody happy. because, hey, the cock crows 3 times and you have denied me in the morning. You see what I mean? I'm like, if you don't have the courage of your convictions, and I don't care what your faith is, by the way, I really don't. I have some incredible friends in the royal families in the Middle East and all that stuff, and we go to mosque together and we pray. I'm super cool with that. You know what I mean? My favorite song in the whole world is a Russian Orthodox Jewish song that I play once a day. You know what I mean? So I'm cool. I'm absolutely cool. What I hate is people who don't have the balls to stand up for what they believe in. So therefore, automatically, the people that respectfully, authentically stand up for what they believe in, those are my kind of people, even if it's a different faith.
Excellent. And I really think this is something for the audience to really take away. And I've learned this from you, Anric. So absolutely credit goes to you here, is this idea of the school of fish. Because many people get themselves into a pod situation, right? POD, where they join some company, it's like 20 people that you're in a group chat in, and then you post your stuff in there, you post a link to your post, and then those same people will go there and comment something, oh, wonderful post, you're so smart, and so on, right? It's terrible, terrible, terrible. People regularly believe that this will get them exposure, and it does. Of course, it increases their visibility of the post, but it's completely robotic and inauthentic. The great thing that Anric does here with the School of Fish, it is effectively like a pod. When you look at the people who like your content, Anric, it's very often 50% always the same people. Like you have like a bunch of, almost I can say, groupies who always engage with your stuff in a good way. But the great thing is they don't feel obligated to do it because they're in a pod, so that he scratches my back, I scratch his back. Similarly, your and my engagement on our content respectively just evolved naturally. That's because we respect each other, and we like our points of view, and we like similar things. I, for example, exactly appreciate this kind of where people are wearing their faith on their sleeve. I think that's great. And because of these common values, we are naturally sort of drawn to each other in a bromance kind of way. And so therefore, we will start commenting on each other's stuff and create this authentic ad hoc pod that is not really a pod, because you enjoy and you actually put some effort into it. And that is the huge takeaway here, is I think is a big part of your recipe for success, Anric, is that this school of fish that you described, that is exactly like an organic, authentic, natural engagement pod that carries your content into so many other people's feeds. So I really like that.
You got to think of it 2 ways. If you are new to LinkedIn, like I have an upgrade version on my Crushing It on LinkedIn course, Michael, that we call the LinkedIn Task Force, where you go and you join what is essentially a pod, okay, Michael, where I teach you over a couple of weeks or months, if it takes it, of how to really crush it on LinkedIn. Make sense? The best way to do that is for you to actually let me know that you've just created a post. And everybody who's in the class at the same time starts off that way. They start off with going and helping each other, because now suddenly you are helping the LinkedIn algorithm recognize that you have changed. Remember your burnt toast thing, right?
Yes.
Like you have changed. You didn't know how to do this before, and now that you're using the proper hashtags, you're tagging people properly. You stop with the gated post links on the post, all that kind of stuff, which gets you downgraded, spammed, all that kind of stuff. All of these mistakes that people normally do. But now you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, people who are supporting your post authentically, because they are told, if this guy writes shit, do not respond. Okay. If it's a crap post that is constantly about your, I don't know, commercial property investment or something like that, or your Bitcoin thingy or whatever, do not go there and respond, because we're trying to teach people to solicit engagement in an authentic way.
Exactly. With good quality content.
So,
Yeah.
so if you drop the ego and you realize that LinkedIn is a pod, and inside LinkedIn are natural pods, they're called first connections. And inside first connections, there are pods of people who are following the same hashtags, right? And inside that, there are pods of people who happen to be online to be seeing your stuff. And because you played the LinkedIn algorithm correctly, right? So when you start connecting, it is very important that you do the right steps. Because if somebody sends you a connection request and you don't reply to them, you don't give them two pieces of action, two pieces of love. After 7 days, the algorithm goes, yeah, same old, and it moves on. And you don't see those people again. Whereas if you force them, that's why when I get a connection request, I send a message link saying, oh, here is my introduction so that we can make this a real connection. And do me a favor, please leave a comment on the post so that LinkedIn knows that I want to see what you write. My network gets to see you and vice versa. So immediately the machine flows and that person now joins my pod. So now it's up to me to create content that actually engages them, or in some cases, Michael, create content that offends them and they unfollow me. Because I am the snowflake melter. And if you're going to bring your snowflake woke stuff to me, I'm going to shoot you down. Yeah, I mean. So
exactly.
So you know Evan's wife, Tiana, am I pronouncing that correct?
I think it's Tiana.
So she would be a really interesting case because she's kind of new to LinkedIn and her business is taboo subject on LinkedIn. So that would be a very, very interesting, absolutely interesting thing, because think of most of the audience on LinkedIn, the active ones are men, right? And men love talking about sex, except when there's other men. Except when there's other men in the room. So it's gonna be very fascinating to see what she does. But I think she could have a real star audience here on LinkedIn. I think it would be very, very interesting.
I think honestly, I don't think we joked about it before that the issue is you cannot write about sex. I don't think that is the issue. What I do know is that LinkedIn is very I want to share that. LinkedIn is very prudish. So there has been a story of Shay Rowbottom who showed too much leg in one photo and the post got downgraded, whether it was by the algorithm or somebody manually, but you should not show too much of yourself. So maybe this is a good piece of advice for Tiana. Maybe you can write enough, write as much as you want, but maybe the photos, keep them relatively, clean and PG-12. So that you don't trigger the algorithm because they're quite prudish.
I did that test, by the way. I created 10 different graphics and I can't remember what. And if they
did you show leg? Did you show leg, Anric?
No, one of them was a girl in a gym working out. And LinkedIn has visual search filters that if it looks in any way provocative, it just cuts that post.
Yeah.
Right away. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Totally does that.
Exactly. So write as much as you want and do test that, Tiana. Definitely, I think that would be a good idea. Just don't go overboard with the imagery. And then we have a question from Jay Aldrich. Don't put links in a post. Thought that was a good way to share information. Namaste. Namaste, Jay. No, it is not. Don't put links in a post. Anric, do you want to comment on that?
Well, by now you know the trick too. And let's do it live, okay? I am getting so many messages here. Holy crap. Okay, let's do it live. There's no preparation for this here. But share screen and share screen again. Okay, so you see here, okay, Ravi. Can you see that?
We cannot see your screen. You have no.
There we go. There, that's coming.
There we go.
That's coming. So you see Ravi. He's got this post here, and he's got a nice post. But look what's right below it is a promoted post. by Verizon. And then here's a guy who's got a nice post and so on. These are real, authentic, organic posts, right? And they go on and they go on and they go on. But every time you hit refresh, LinkedIn is trying to sell you something. So these guys, if we click on this here, that is an external post that is taking you off the platform.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn does not want to lose you because remember, we are the product. LinkedIn is pretty much free. So we are the product. They want our eyeballs because they have offered, and I'm going to hit refresh again here. And lately it's been Goldman Sachs like crazy, but LinkedIn has promised these guys over here, McDermott and Will Energy. Well, let's go hit that again and refresh. Pipe. They have promised these guys a certain number of clicks because these guys are paying for your click.
Mm-hmm.
So now here is the problem. They want to sell clicks and they're going to downgrade anything of yours that has a click in it. So if you are taking people off the platform, they don't want that. If you are taking people off YouTube, they really don't want that. If you have to post external video, use Vimeo because they know it's not a parasite that's going to take their viewers away. But if you put a link into the post, you've got two choices. You either just suck it up and live with the pain of that, or you got to find a way around it. The way that I can find a way around it is, let me quickly go here.
Yeah, that's a really smart move with the articles.
This is my sacrificial lamb strategy, where I will create an article because nobody reads articles by themselves anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's unless you're pushing content towards an article, nobody reads it. But in that article, you can embed YouTube videos, all sorts of them. You can embed a PDF. Here is an embedded PDF inside the article, and you can commit the sin of all sins. You can actually take people to a sign-up place to either go sign up for your course or join your newsletter or join your blog or whatever. If, however, Michael, if I had done this, and this is one of the cardinal sins that you do, but it works because people are authentically still trying to connect with you and your machine actually works. So I circumvent that process. So I will create a LinkedIn blog. If I have a really long video, and we were building some technology with Tony Robbins, blah, blah, blah. And so this is a 10-minute video, which has no place on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? So I will create that on my blog, but I will not give you a gated access to that. If somebody clicks to go read more or find out more, and you're immediately asking them for their email address and their firstborn child and all this kind of stuff, not only are they going to give you the 2-finger salute, but the LinkedIn algorithm doesn't want that either. So it's going to downgrade your post to spam. So what I suggest that people do is go here into your, let's go quickly, and it's so hard to find your own stuff. Go into your featured section and go and create a sacrificial sign-up page. Like I have one in here somewhere, which I don't really actually want to use. But if somebody wants to book a call with me, I have a post for that. If somebody wants to see a table of contents of what's inside my Crushing It on LinkedIn course, I have a post for that. So just like the millennials of today go, oh, isn't there an app for that? Yeah, I got a post for that. You see what I mean? So I just send people to a LinkedIn post. And this one has had 115,000 views. And it is chock-a-block full with
comments.
Social proof.
Social proof,
Social proof, evidence of your fans who are saying, hey, you know what? You're amazing. Now we're back to the LinkedIn garden that I spoke about. People are wandering around your garden.
Yeah.
And you are keeping them on LinkedIn. So now
yeah.
something happens. If you go to my blog, there's a subscribe button over here. There's a subscribe button over here. Once
Yeah,
you've seen the article, let's say you've actually clicked on a blog post, there's seriously, if you can't see this LinkedIn, the signups on this, you're blind and you should have your computer taken away from you. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
there's even a pop-up when I leave. If you try to leave, there's a pop-up. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll stop beating
Awesome.
a dead horse.
No, that's totally understandable. So are you saying that even on the profile, you don't want to have links pointing outward? It's only in the articles that you have them?
No, on your profile you can have them. Don't put them in the post.
Exactly, in the post.
Because
yeah, that's correct.
If you're going to give people good content, if you're going to give them a how-to, if you're going to give them a video, just give it to them. They'll be back. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Send them to your if your strategy is to gain followers, put a link to your profile in the post.
Yes.
Click an arrow. Click follow Frank Prendergast. Follow Frank Prendergast for content like this or content like that. You see what I mean? Tell people what to do. Give them one call to action.
Yes. But keep it inside LinkedIn.
Keep it inside LinkedIn.
Exactly. Either go to an article or go to my profile to follow me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what do you think? Sorry to interrupt. What do you think then of the conventional wisdom that says in the comments you can put in links?
Yes, and I did it today, and it does work. The thing is, if the language is so link in the comments, the algorithm searches for that, and those are part of the. Remember, in the first hour or two, LinkedIn shows your content to a trial audience, and based on the performance inside that trial audience, it either upgrades the post or downgrades it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it has link in the comments in it, it's kind of downgraded. So what I do, I kind of come an hour later and I'll add a link in there, and it tends to be fine. But also at a certain point, I'm like, I'm done. Like, let's not be stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we don't have to overdo it with calls to action. It's people will find, if they're really interested, they will find you.
Oh God, it's like you can DM people, you can write a comment on it. I mean, there is 2,000 ways that you can get hold of somebody on LinkedIn, right?
Exactly.
You don't need to get them to sign up. So I do have a very, very specific strategy for swinging people out of LinkedIn into my own universe, getting them to sign in, not sign up. But that's a conversation for another day, because my number one thing on your podcast is that these things are too long.
It's actually, I mean, these very often, and this is kind of my strategy, it really, that one works really well, where I recently had somebody on a sales call who just before was listening to my sales, my LinkedIn Live about sales, and it just happened to be on the same day, and that was also quite a long one. It was an hour long, and I do believe in the value of long form content as well. It shouldn't be the only thing, but having short form and long form, it's just short form, there is a certain level of many people do that, and you cannot really tell if somebody has real substance if he just puts out short stuff. But if somebody can talk intelligently for an hour about something, I think that just elevates you above the fray for many people. I think that it's just another way of differentiating yourself. You will not get many people to watch it, but those who do, they love it. So I do believe in the value of it.
And there are different audiences that are more tolerant to long form. And you know, there are some people that are just, and certain age groups that just don't have the bandwidth for it, and you lose them after the first 3 lines. I always tell people the only purpose of the first 3 lines is to sell the rest, the see more button.
That's true. 100%. That I agree. But in terms of especially when you mention young audiences, just look at what Jordan Peterson has done.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson has captured young men as audiences, and he does 2-hour long lectures on the Bible. It really is about simply the game is higher. It's like the bar is higher. You have to be really good. And then if you are good, you can even get young, twitchy audiences to listen for you for an hour. And that's why I believe in the value of long-form content. Shouldn't be the only thing, by
Yeah.
all means.
I mean,
But
it's not. I've got a post on this somewhere. It's not short attention span. It's short consideration span.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
I have that from you. Correct. Short
Yeah.
consideration span.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you're
Awesome.
if you're trying to sell me stuff, well, my attention span just got
Of
that
course.
short. I mean,
Exactly.
but if I'm looking and I'm buying and I want answers from you, and you are, in my view, the maven or the expert that provides those answers, my attention span just got this big.
Mm,
You see the difference in approach there,
absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. Good. But on that note, let's not drag it out for too long. Anric,
Yeah.
thank you. This was spectacular. So interesting. I'm sure many people, I got so much out of this. I'm sure many people as well. We got a lot of compliments in the comments. So thank you so much. And I'm sure there will be demand for more. So watch
Okay.
this space.
Alles
Awesome.
Gute.
Thank
Ciao,
you very much.
arrivederci.
Bye-bye. Ciao.